Funding for this line will be essential to helping communities both during the crisis and in the economic recovery, and will be particularly important given the challenging budget situation that many municipalities will be experiencing. We're requesting 3% increases for most of our other lines. However, somewhat larger increases for our agency's administration line due to our impending office move in September, as well as a larger increase for the Massachusetts Center for the Book, which has been level funded since fiscal 2016. The governor's fiscal 2021 budget, released in January, included a $233,000 increase for our administration line, 1% increases for state aid to regional libraries, state aid to public libraries, and the library technology and resource sharing line, and level funding for the Center for the Book and the Perkins and Worcester Talking Book Libraries. In a typical year, the House develops a budget in April, the Senate votes on their version in May, the conference committee reconciles any differences between the two versions, and the budget is sent to the governor to be put into place by or around July 1st. As we know, this is not a typical year. The COVID-19 crisis and its impact on the Commonwealth's economy have made it difficult to project revenues for fiscal 2021. Some Beacon Hill think tanks are projecting the state could collect $6 billion less than anticipated earlier this year. Budget options are being considered by the legislature. Budget options that are being considered include collectively setting a new revenue estimate, pre-conferencing the budget so the leaders in both branches are in broad agreement before it goes to the floor of either branch, and month-to-month budgets for at least the first few months of fiscal 2021. On the federal side, we've been allotted $622,000 in IMLS CARES Act funds. We're using CARES Act and regular LSTA funds to support Beanstack summer learning software for 127 libraries, since reading and learning will be particularly important this summer, given the potential for greater summer learning loss due to the impact of school closures. We've also announced a grant opportunity using CARES Act funds to support virtual programming for distance learning, for which applications are due on June 19th. We're still in the process of gathering input regarding possible uses of additional CARES Act funds, including for wellness programming grants, for workforce job search e-resources, and for workforce job search training for library staff. And we'll be meeting virtually with our State Advisory Council on Libraries to discuss this tomorrow. As part of our Reopening Libraries project that we're partnering with the Mass Library System, Maury Didi and Rob Favini from the MBLC and Terry McQuown and Sarah Segigian have facilitated 10 feedback sessions with 576 participants to gain insights and develop needed guidance around the resumption of fall library services after libraries close due to the health crisis. The Automated Library Networks hosted the sessions, which gathered input along broad categories including collections, service delivery, and staff concerns. Most of the major concerns were similar across the sessions in terms of quarantining items, opening phases, supporting staff, and managing the flow of people through the buildings. The team developed guidelines and suggested recommendations for phased reopening, which they submitted to the Reopening Advisory Board and added to the MLS's COVID-19 Response Live Guide, which is regularly being revised with new and updated information. The commissioners have suspended some requirements for the fiscal 2020 State Aid to Public Libraries program, which affects libraries reporting as part of the 2021 state aid cycle, in order to address concerns regarding municipal budgets and particularly the hours and materials expenditure requirements. Another part of our fiscal 2021 and actually 2020 legislative agendas was the MBLC's request for $250 million in new capital construction bond funding in order to support the 17 projects that are currently on our construction wait list and to fund a future planning, design grant, and construction grant rounds for which 45 communities have already expressed an interest in applying. The governor included $100 million for our program in an omnibus IT bond bill filed in 2019, which we were successful in having amended to $150 million in the House Bonding Committee. That amount was recently reduced to $100 million in House Ways and Means Committee due to funding being reallocated to COVID-19 related expenditures. Our House Library Caucus co-chairs, Reps. Natalie Higgins and Brian Murray, sponsored an amendment with 50 co-sponsors to add $50 million to that line. However, ultimately, the House Ways and Means only supported amending the amount to $115 million. The bill, which is now H4733, was passed by the House in May and referred to the Senate Committee on Bonding, Capital Expenditures, and State Assets, which held a hearing last week for which we submitted written testimony. The bill should be reported out of that committee within days and will go to Senate Ways and Means. And we've reached out to our Senate Library Caucus co-chair, Senator Eric Lesser, and his staff regarding the possibility of amending the bill to include a higher amount if needed. A couple other items. We're working with Abby Strauss and Jane Darling of Maverick and Boutique on our strategic plan 2021 through 2025. And we very much appreciate the participation of many of you in the library community in interviews, focus groups, and our community stakeholder workshops. We're scheduling an in-depth meeting to review findings to date and to consider recommended goal areas, strategies, and action items. And we will present a final version of the plan to the commissioners early in the new fiscal year. Our communications team has been working to increase ease of access to digital resources during the pandemic period. The consumer portal mass.gov/libraries has been updated and expanded to include free for now resources as well as the always free statewide resources, which are funded by state and federal funds. We also recently launched a new statewide calendar of virtual library events, which means Mass residents have the opportunity to participate in library events anywhere in the state. Finally, the MDLC just released a statement regarding racism and working for racial justice. While the statement is important and timely given our ongoing work on our strategic plan, we are focusing on what we will do as an agency to further racial justice, both internally and in our work with you, our colleagues, in the Commonwealth's library community. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions, if there are any.
There are no questions.
Okay, I'm happy to hand it back to Esme. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. And just remember, when you guys do have questions, if you do have any, just put them into the Q&A and not the chat box. Okay, so now it's time to call the meeting to order and ask you. We did post a link in the chat box for the minutes from last year, and I'm calling for a motion to approve the minutes of last year's annual meeting.
Hi, this is Will Adamczyk. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thanks, Will. Do I have a second?
This is Bernadette Rivard. I make second the motion.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. Are there any questions or discussion to the minutes of last year? Just gonna wait a second. They were pretty straightforward, nothing controversial. So, all right, so I'm gonna call for a vote. We're gonna put up a poll so that everyone who's attending can vote. Excellent. Nice work, people. It was fun, right? Polling. Yay. Okay, the minutes are approved. Let's move on. And now it's time for my report. Like James, I would like to start by taking a moment to acknowledge the worldwide protests for Black lives and the groundswell of motivation to address systemic racism. MLA published a statement this morning, and you can find the full text at the masslib.org website. And beyond denouncing racism, MLA is committed to effecting real change going forward. We are also about to start our strategic planning, and one of our main goals is to make diversity and inclusion a cornerstone of that plan. So it's not just about speaking up, it's about actually making a commitment to change. And I want to thank everyone who helped us put together that statement and gave their input and voted on that from the executive board. It's been the best of times and the worst of times this year. I was preparing these remarks earlier and I was talking to Will Adamczyk, and he reminded me that this year started out really great, which I completely forgot about. We had a great team of officers and staff who worked hard to straighten out a lot of our internal procedures. We cleaned up our finances. We created a shared drive to store, share, and save our institutional work. We updated and revised our budget and the process by which it's developed. We saw 2 new sections, Reader's Advisory and Leadership and Management, begin to develop and grow. Conference was looking amazing and nearly completely planned when the novel coronavirus hit. And then that happened. So everything really flipped at that point. I will say that one of the silver linings of the virus was that Macmillan Publishing and lynda.com both reversed their very unpopular positions for libraries. Macmillan gave up its embargo to libraries, and lynda.com revised its privacy policy. So both of these position changes fell in line with statements that MLA had previously published. So that was the nice side of that. We also saw Publishers Weekly and Booklist and a lot of other publishers provide a lot of free content digitally for people during the pandemic. So that was one of the nicer things that came out of it. Unfortunately though, MLA members have lost jobs as a result of extended library closures and severe budget cuts. MLA supports library workers both to work safely and to protect their jobs. If you would like to see the full statements that we published on both of those topics, they are also posted on the library Mass Live website. At this point, I'd like to thank the chairs and committees who worked behind the scenes to keep things going. In particular, Conference, who had to make the difficult choice to cancel a conference after doing about 95% of the work to bring it to fruition, with an amazing lineup of program events and speakers, to pivoting to alternatives for this and next year that are cost-effective and safe. So thank you. I also want to thank the staff, officers, executive board, committees, and sections, and of course, all of the members for all your hard work this year and your support and participation. And finally, I just have to say that I am looking forward to next time when I hope we can do a drag queen karaoke and raise a glass and cheer each other on and get together in real life and have a good time and learn some stuff. So thank you. If there are any questions, just throw them into the Q&A. And in the meantime, I want to introduce Bernadette Rivard, our wonderful treasurer, who is going to give a report and present the FY21 budget. Bernadette?
Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here, even if it is virtually. It's been an interesting year. I think we've all we've had a lot of changes and a lot of things to adapt to. MLA is no different than our libraries. So let me present the summary of my treasurer's report. The annual report was published in the meeting materials, but I'm going to run through a summary of it today with you. The good news, really good news, and it's thanks to our members, is we're within $700 of our membership goal for this fiscal year. Normally, a good portion of our membership dollars come in with conference registrations, and that didn't happen this year, and we still got the membership dollars. So thank you to the members for stepping up and continuing to support MLA. When the decision was made to cancel conference, there was a big financial decision. We had exhibitors and sponsors who had already provided us funds that we gave them options on did they want to roll it over till next year, did they want to get refunds, and some of them opted for refunds. So that put a little strain on our budget. So we needed to transfer $12,000 from our cash reserve account to the checking account so we could meet our expenses. Fortunately, in May, we were awarded a payroll protection program loan from the SBA in the amount of $10,335. So that has enabled us to keep our 2 fantastic employees on the payroll. Today's would not exist probably without Rebecca and Kristen. So thank you for your work helping getting this format going for this meeting. And the loan will eventually be forgiven. So that's good news. So that is just something that's helping keep us afloat. The somewhat good news about our investment portfolio, even though we took $12,000 out and the stock market has been all over the place, if you look at the numbers that I have in front of you there, we're really only down $13,000 in our investments where we took $12,000 out. So the stock market hasn't been horrible to us this year. We're in okay shape. We do have cash reserves and we have some investment funds to help us get through difficult times like these. We had our budget all set in April. And we were ready to present it at the conference in May, and then the pandemic hit and we realized we'd have to revise. Our expectations had to be lowered for income and expenses based on what we project will happen in FY21. We anticipate there'll be some libraries that won't be able to renew their memberships. There'll be some libraries that won't be able to send people to conference. So in front of you, you have the proposed budget that we had prepared prior to the pandemic, and then the revision we did in April with income. So the revised budget is income of $198,850 and expenses of $197,950 with a $900 profit. And that income does actually include a transfer of $13,000 additional dollars from the investment account to make the budget balance. So I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report and approve the budget.
Hi, this is Will Adamsick, and I make a motion to approve the fiscal 21 budget.
And this is Ellen Rainville, and I second that motion.
Do we have any questions about the budget?
There are no questions.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Bernadette. Nice work on the budget and, you know, creating several different ones during the whole panic of Corona. I think you did a great job and we all really appreciate that. I would like now to introduce Ellen Rainville to present our bylaw changes.
So the bylaw changes before you are basically 3 housekeeping changes. Under the officers section, we have a line that implies that there is a past treasurer position that a retiring treasurer moves into. We do not have that office, so it's being changed to say a retiring treasurer can become an advisor. And under elections, which not only were presumed, but look like they were pre-email, we have put specific dates in October and March, which allow the nominations committee to know when they have to perform certain activities and when elections need to take place. And then the final change is we reordered some of the bullets under election so that the order in which activities were listed would make more sense. So that's the entirety of the changes to the bylaws.
This is Bernadette. I'd like to make a motion to approve the bylaw changes as presented.
Do I have a second?
Nora Blake seconds.
Thank you. Any discussion? Any questions? It's pretty straightforward. Okay, everyone can go ahead and vote. Yay, passed. Thank you, Ellen. All right, now we get to the slate of officers. William Adamsick is the past president, and he is the chair, excuse me, of the nominating committee, and he's going to present the slate of officers.
Thank you, Esme. I also noticed we're ahead of our schedule for the meeting, so I'm going to take up an extra 20 minutes just talking about this. No, but seriously, thanks everybody for coming in this new method of annual meeting. I would like to first thank everyone who worked with the nominating committee this year and for the bylaws committee for helping to readjust how it will be done going forward. Today's slate will join current officers Nora Blake moving into the president's role and Bernadette Rivard serving the second year of a 2-year treasurer's term. Now, I'm very happy to present the following slate of officers for 2020-2021. I would like to thank all of our members who put their names forward as nominees, and I encourage people to consider running for these positions in the future. The slate of officers is as follows. For secretary, this is a 2-year term. Noelle Bach from Tewksbury Library. This will be Noelle's second 2-year term at this position. She has spent over 25 years working in libraries ranging from Texas, New York to Massachusetts. Noelle first became involved with MLA by attending youth services section meetings and eventually becoming chair of that section. The second position is the vice president, president-elect. This becomes a 3-year term as a president-elect, president, and past president. I'm happy to introduce Joanne Lamoth from Sandwich Library. Joanne started her career in Duxbury, eventually being appointed their library director. She next moved to Weymouth before joining Sandwich, where she is now. Joanne has been a longtime member of MLA and most recently has served as conference committee co-chair for the past 3 years. And Joanne has also served as the president of NELA. And the third and final position is the ALA chapter counselor position. This is a 2-year term. And on the slate is Esme Green from the Good Now Library in Sudbury. Esme has been actively involved in MLA for a number of years. She served as a conference committee co-chair for at least 6 years before being elected to the president-elect president role she is in now. And it's been my great pleasure to serve as an officer with Esme over the past 2 years. This is our slate of officers for 2020-2021. Thank you to those nominees for volunteering to serve for our association. This report serves as a motion to our group. So now I will turn it over to Esme for a call for nominations from the floor, followed by the vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Will. Yes, so as is, I think, rules or tradition or a little bit of both, we did have a previous vote on this slate, but we also take nominations from the floor. So if anyone would like to step forward and be nominated for any of these positions, now is the time to do so. Well, all right. It doesn't look like anyone's jumping at the chance to do this. So I will like to take a vote on the slate as presented. We're doing a really good job of whipping through this agenda, people, which is the way I like it. So thank you. All right, it looks like the motion passes. We have a new slate of officers. Thank you, everyone, so much. All right, now this is the exciting part for me. It's been a wild year, and as much as I have enjoyed it, I am definitely ready to turn the reins over to some new fresh blood. And Nora is our chosen victim. I'm going to invite Nora to say a few words to everyone. I think that we're supposed to ceremonially pass the gavel, but the gavel is trapped in my office. And like Thor, I've been trying to summon it from here, but I must not be worthy because it hasn't shown up yet. So I'm sorry. All right, Nora.
Okay, well, I made my own, so we're all set.
Woohoo!
I don't know how fresh my blood is, but we'll see. I'm not feeling very fresh these days. So I want to thank you, Esme. I feel honored to be taking over as the president of our association, truly. And Esme, this has been a real incredibly challenging and volatile year for libraries everywhere, and I really appreciate and admire your leadership of our organization as we navigated a host of issues. A lot, many you described and many you didn't describe over the course of this last year. So I only hope that I can provide MLA with the same reasoned and steady leadership as we continue to wade what's probably going to be some more difficult waters ahead as an organization. We also owe you a big party, Esme, since we missed out on the annual conference and the celebration that usually comes at that event. So we'll have to find some way to honor you.
Yeah, I'm bummed about that. That was going to be my reward, and I didn't get it.
Exactly. So if we get to do it in person next year, the party will be yours, not mine. And Will, I think we both started our service to MLA, perhaps both on conference committee. Oh, good. And on cue, my cat just woke up, so this is going to be great. So, Will, more than 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, we were working together on conference committee. You've given a whole lot of greatness to MLA, and I'm going to miss working with you. And MLA really appreciates everything that you've done for us. And I do have to say, I feel really concerned about the year to come, not only for MLA, but for libraries in general and our society as a whole. So much seems so tenuous right now, but I do take solace in the fact that MLA's leadership, the chairs of our committees and sections, and everyone else involved with MLA are people with really strong passion and creativity and energy. And I'm really looking forward to working with all of these wonderful people over the next year as we develop what I hope is going to be a meaningful path for MLA for the future as we do our strategic plan and just our work in general as we move forward. And that being said, we're always looking for more active members. So if you're feeling passionate about your profession and you want to play a more active role in one of our committees or our sections, please reach out to me or to Laurie Lessner, our membership committee chair, and we'll connect you with the leader of the section or committee that you want to work with. We're always looking for more engagement on every level. So please, if you want to be involved, we want to have you. So I really want to thank you all for being with us today, and I'm looking forward to meeting what will probably be some challenges in the coming year. So this is the moment where you don't want to log off, because what I'm going to do is close the formal business meeting portion of the day, and then we'll hand it over to Aline Moroney. So first, I want to look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'm going to do that. I will officially adjourn this meeting. And but before that, can we I make a motion that we see your cat?
Oh, well, no, Grandma doesn't like to be held.
Grandma. All right, fine. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
That's great. All right. So I'd like to introduce Aline Moroney, the co-chair of the Readers Advisory Section, who's going to be leading our conversation, Fireside Chat with Nancy Pearl.